All right. Um, Good afternoon. Welcome to the Lunch and Learn about Build Carolina and SC Codes, Develop Carolina, all the different programs, which I'll go into throughout our chat today. But talking a little bit about what exists in our state as far as resources to help you learn to code, to help you launch your career, or to help with whatever those next steps in your educational journey are. So I am Kaity, and I am the Chief Operating Officer for Build Carolina. And so it gets a little confusing sometimes because we have lots of different names for all of our programs. And so to help you kind of understand, Build Carolina is going to be our overarching nonprofit umbrella. And so underneath Build Carolina, we have 3 programs, which I will talk about in just a moment. But please let me know as we go if you have any questions. And then, of course, at the end, we'll save lots of time for Q&A, and I'm happy to hang out and answer any questions one-on-one as we wrap things up. So to get started, there's a challenge here in our state, and a couple different challenges. And this is not specific to South Carolina, although we'll be talking specifically about South Carolina. But there is a huge need for tech talent here in our state and beyond. And so our challenges of why we created Build Carolina is that we have amazing, innovative companies here in South Carolina, tech companies. It just continues to grow, but not enough talent to support them. We also don't have enough people entering into technology careers. And so there are, I think on average, I think I have the stats in here somewhere, so we'll get to it. But there are a couple hundred computer science graduates in South Carolina every year, and there are thousands of open jobs in tech. So there's a huge discrepancy there. And so we focus on non-traditional educational pathways in order to help more folks enter into those careers. And then the other challenge is that our tech talent ecosystem has gaps at every point along the path. And I have a visual I'll kind of share about that in a moment. But basically, there just aren't enough resources for whether you're trying to upskill, whether you're trying to enter into the field. You know, we can even go into K-12 a little bit. There are lots of gaps along the way. And right now, tech is 6% of our state's economy, so about $89 billion of impact in our state. So this is something that companies are really concerned about. We work very closely with South Carolina Department of Commerce, something that they're very focused on, and so we're here to help try to fill a little bit of those gaps. This is also a problem that has grown throughout the pandemic, which is wild. So as folks were impacted from a brick and mortar standpoint, as things were closing down in 2020, tech actually grew in our state. And so there were about 30,000 jobs posted for tech in 2020, and programming being one of those leading areas. So as an organization, we have a very specific vision and mission. So our vision is a thriving, accessible tech talent ecosystem in South Carolina. So if this is achieved, we no longer need to exist as we are as an organization. We can pivot and try to tackle something else. But our mission is to advance South Carolina's tech community through demand-driven training, connection, and support. And so this is that gap kind of roughly sketched out that I was talking about. And so we see this as like kind of the whole tech talent ecosystem in our state. And so we have K-12 here. We have our traditional post-secondary degrees. So this is going to be 2- and 4-year colleges. We have non-traditional programs and certs. This is going to be like boot camp programs. We fall into this as well. We do have a code school in the upstate, which we'll talk about. And then, professional development, which then ideally kind of feeds back into all of those things. Because the more people we get into this pipeline, into this ecosystem, the more people we have giving back to the ecosystem. And so, as I mentioned, this is a little bit outdated, but in 2019, there were only 844 degrees awarded in computer science. And we have a lot more job openings than that. And we're also finding that 2 and 4 year degree holders in computer science are still struggling to make that step, make that jump into their career. So it's a lot of theory, which is wonderful, but not as much hands-on, which is really necessary. And so we have some gaps, not enough STEM programs available, not enough teachers with skills or understanding of pathways. We have not enough students pursuing degrees in computer science fields. And even when they do, there are lots of barriers to entry into both here and beyond. And so our goal as an organization is to focus on reducing those barriers to entry. And we also have a focus on formerly incarcerated, military veterans, and caregivers who trying to re-enter into the workplace, as this can be really challenging for those groups. And so our goal is to be a resource for tech employers, a community for tech talent, and a launch pad for tech careers. And so we do that through our 3 different programs. I'll be focusing more so on Develop Carolina and SC Codes today, since Carolina Code School is specific to Greenville because it is an in-person boot camp. But if you are interested, there are options, if you want to relocate to Greenville for a few months, learn to code, and then go get that amazing remote job and come back home, great. There's also a program in Charleston. It's not ours, but JRS Code School is another option. But we're going to be talking about SC Codes and Develop Carolina today. So we're going to start with SC Codes. So SC Codes is our oldest, Carolina Code School is actually our original program, but SC Codes started in 2018, and prior to us taking over SC Codes, it was a small in-person course at the Greenville Library in 2017. And so we took it over and we launched it mostly virtual, and we spread it across the state. And so to date, we have over 7,900 users on our platform and 11 course offerings. And so for those folks who are interested in just learning how to code, getting your foot in the door, trying to figure out what you even want to do, what you might even like to do, this is a 100% free platform for South Carolina residents. And so we have entry level all the way through kind of advanced level courses to help you get the skills that you need to launch your career. We have almost 13,000 course registrations on our platform. We offer virtual and in-person courses, so I do things like this a lot. And then we also have live streamed one-night courses that we do through our events page. And then we also do some in-person things with libraries. We partner with organizations like the Beaufort Digital Corridor. We do a lot with ESOs, it feels like, so it's a very cool kind of overlap between the entrepreneurial and the tech world. And so we partner to try to provide classes to folks in your own community. And so because of that, we have more than 30 site partners, and we have dozens of mentors. And so I'll talk a little bit more about our mentorship program, but that's one of the things that really, really sets us apart from a lot of the other massive online open courses. So, and again, 100% free. We provide clear-cut pathways to gaining the job-ready skills. So we have both a front-end certification pathway and a back-end certification pathway. So we plan to continue to build and add to these course offerings based on the needs from South Carolina-based tech employers. And so front-end certification now focuses on HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and React. And then the back-end certification pathway is focused on Ruby on Rails. And we also have a entry-level Java course, and we're looking to build out some Node courses. So again, diversifying whatever you kind of want to learn. We want to be a place for the most relevant, applicable skills in tech here in our state. And then our mentor program is amazing. We have folks from all over the state who work as software developers in the industry who volunteer their time just to help our learners. So once you're on our platform and you're taking some courses and you're stuck or you need help, or you just need some guidance of what to do next, we have a network of folks that we can connect you with. So we have done some, webinar series in the past. So we've talked about, clean code, working as a junior developer remotely, which can be scary when you're first starting out. Kristen's nodding. And then we have a Ask a Developer series, which is always a fun one because you can just ask them, what's the day-to-day look like? Because it can be very different from what you kind of expect or think about the industry before you go into it. And so, but outside of kind of these events that we offer, we do one-on-one mentorship. We have a Slack workspace that I would highly encourage all of you to join. You can throw a question out. We have a code help channel. So if you don't want to actually talk to anybody, you don't have to. You can just throw that in the channel and someone will get back to you and help you. Usually if it's during working hours, 10, 15 minutes, someone is assisting you. But we also rely on our mentors to teach a lot of our virtual and in-person courses, and they contribute to our blog pretty regularly. So if you're looking for information on a specific topic, you can check out our blog and hopefully find something that might help you with those next steps. We also, as an organization, focus on highlighting diverse voices and achievements. And so we want to be that place for all learners, regardless of their background. And so we believe firmly that you can't be what you can't see. And so we attempt to make sure that for, Black History Month or Women's History Month, Hispanic Heritage Month, we did, Asian American Pacific Islander Month, we celebrate Pride Month, we celebrate Accessibility Month. So we try to do all of these things to highlight folks in the industry who are from these diverse backgrounds so that folks joining our platform, regardless of who they are, what their background is, they can see someone that looks and feels like them doing what it is they want to do. So, and we also spend a lot of time just advocating for diversity within the hiring within tech in Charleston, in South Carolina, because we know, and studies have shown over and over, that the more diverse your workforce is, the more diverse your leadership is, the better outcomes for your company overall. All right. So that's SC Codes. sccodes.org is the website, by the way. I don't know if that was up there. But free, totally free, open, hop in and out as you please. And then if you get all the skills that you need to start working, but are still needing maybe just a little help, a little boost into your first job, we have Develop Carolina. And Develop Carolina is our newest program. It started January of last year, and we're in the midst of our third cohort now. We do 6-month cohorts, and we created this program because we continually heard from employers and from entry-level developers that they were struggling to overcome I don't have experience as a developer. No one will hire me until I have experience as a developer. How the heck am I supposed to get experience as a developer if no one will hire me? And just kind of that vicious cycle. And so we wanted to stop that cycle. And so what we did was created this program. And it is meant to serve as a gap to bridge that gap, between education and career. So we've had amazing success. It's a 6-month apprenticeship. It's a hybrid model. So 2 days a week, you're in a virtual classroom with our instructor, and you're learning about all the different aspects of the software development lifecycle. And we're also talking about professional development skills. So we'll talk about imposter syndrome, how to negotiate your salary, all these cool things. During the time, it is a paid apprenticeship program. So you are paid by your employer host, who you spend 3 days a week with. So 24 hours a week, you're working paid with your employer host. And those are tech companies here in South Carolina. Most recently and currently, Booz Allen Hamilton is one of our biggest supporters, and I'm going to let Kristen talk about that in a few minutes as well. So $15,000 stipend is the minimum that we require for them to pay the apprentices for that time. Comes out to about $26 an hour for those 24 hours a week. And to date, we've had 90% job placement rate. And that has been prior to graduation, everyone getting those offers. And so we've only had 2 who haven't immediately gotten an offer, and we're working with them to figure out what that next step is. So out of 21 graduates to date, 19 have been placed with their employer host. And what's really, really exciting, the last cohort, so our cohort number 2, we actually received our registered apprenticeship status. And so what that means is that the Department of Labor recognizes us as a registered apprenticeship program, which is super cool because we actually created this program outside of kind of the Department of Labor standards because tech companies weren't participating, because traditional apprenticeship is 2 years long, kind of takes you from having no education to job ready, which is a wonderful approach. But a lot of tech employers are like hesitant to commit that much time to an apprentice or to an apprentice. So we actually started it as a fellowship program to just differentiate ourselves because we have folks who come in already with the education. So we get to skip like a lot of that. And tech companies were into our approach. So we did it. We had 100% job placement the first cohort. And then our state representative, the Apprenticeship Carolina, is if y'all are familiar with apprenticeships at all, they reached out and they were like, hey, it's working. Let's figure out how to make it a registered apprenticeship. Y'all don't have to change a thing. So we were like, let's do it. So that has been an added bonus. And so kind of overarching our goal is, again, too many people fall off in between. And we so desperately need folks here that we just wanted to create a bridge to be able to prevent those folks from dropping into that gap. And we love our alumni. You're going to get to hear from one in just a moment. These are 3 of our alumni from the first cohort, all 3 of whom are actually volunteering as a mentor for our apprentices currently. So, which is another really cool part of kind of seeing that full circle. These folks went through the cohort, are working as developers now, and they're also donating their time to give back to the current group of apprentices. So it's a really lovely thing to see. And speaking of alumni, Kristen Coy is here to share a little bit of her experience. Yay, Kristen! What's really, really cool about Kristen's story is that she and I met at a Lunch and Learn almost the same time last year, which led her to applying for the program, and I'll let her share the rest of her story. So there you go.
Oh, I get the microphone. Yeah. Very official. Hello. So like Katie said, we actually met last year at the BDC's Lunch and Learn. Before that, I did not... Oh, my gosh. This is going up as the next picture on the side. Before that, I was not familiar with Develop Carolina. I was kind of familiar with SC Codes. So I fully 100% credit Buford Digital Corridor and Develop Carolina with the fact that I'm employed as a software engineer today. Whoop, whoop, yeah. So back when I first came to the Lunch and Learn that was hosted here, that you guys are at right now, I was working in healthcare as an occupational therapist. I have a master's degree in that and had been working there for about 5 years. And was looking for a career change, and kind of like Katie's visual, I was falling into the gap of education to employment, especially coming in as a junior without a CS background. There's a lot of hesitance, I guess, on behalf of employers to hire you in your first position. So Develop Carolina helped me to bridge that gap, and it has truly been an awesome experience. And I would say this even if Katie wasn't standing right here. It really was. The support that you get from them is just unparalleled, and it really makes the program like something special. So yeah, if anybody has any questions about Develop Carolina or my experience or being hired as a junior from a non-CS background, I'm super happy to answer that. Yeah.
Do you want to show off your final project?
I can, yeah, if you want me to.
I mean, if you want. Part of the program is that every apprentice in a pair gets to build a full stack project in addition to what they're doing on the job. So kind of making sure that they have portfolio projects when they are finished, but also I wonder if the sound's going to work here too. but also, or you can just narrate it.
Oh yeah, this is super long too, so I apologize.
You're fine. I can always fast forward if you need me to. But so this is Kristen and her partner's final project. So this is something that using the skills she had before she came into our program, and then also utilizing skills she gained throughout the program. And what's so super cool is that this is very much informed by her prior career. So I will let you take it from here.
Yeah, so this is a web application that myself, Kristen, and my partner Kayla built. As part of the Develop Carolina program, you build an overarching project. It was called the Umbrella Project, but I believe now it's called the Full Stack Project. So as an occupational therapist, one of my main beefs with patients in an outpatient setting is that they are constantly forgetting their home exercise program, which is how you improve through therapy and things like that. So Kayla and I built a portal, I guess, for the creation and dissemination of home exercise programs. We used a React front end. I don't know how familiar everybody is with technology, but we used pretty much JavaScript on the front and JavaScript in the back as well. It was a really great experience. Before this, I had only done personal projects, just kind of by myself. So going through building this along with somebody else helped to really solidify a lot of the concepts that I was learning through the Develop Carolina curriculum, and also things that I use now, going onto a real life project in a team setting. So a patient can have a profile and all of their information, and then you select from exercises and assign frequency, duration, that kind of thing. So the general idea is that a patient can log in from anywhere and be able to access what the program is that their therapist has assigned. Yeah. Thank you.
I won't make you continue.
Okay. I'm happy to elaborate more, but it's super slow. But one thing that we really enjoyed too is we made the whole thing responsive, so you can shrink it down. It works on mobile. It works, on desktop. It was really fun. A great learning tool. Kayla called it a didactic tool because she was a teacher.
Yes. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. If you want to stay put, now is kind of I'm wrapping up anyways as far as presentation goes. So would love to answer any and all questions. I know that was a lot of information, and I moved through it fairly rapidly. But if you have any questions about the programs or for Kristen, who has kind of made that transition, we'd love to hear them.
I have a question. Hey. So for that project, how long did it take you, or how many hours did it take you to build it?
Yeah, great question. So the way that Develop Carolina is structured, you have the Monday and Fridays are Develop Carolina time, and then Tuesday through Thursday it's with your employer host. So our time building this project was primarily split between Mondays and Fridays. So that kind of throws off an overall time scale. Kayla and I completed it, I guess we got started a month in, so maybe 5 months-ish of part-time work hours. Oh my gosh, I don't know.
The goal was supposed to be 40 hours or less, but
yeah.
I don't know if that actually was reality.
I think too, it depends on who you are, and Kayla and I were more I don't want to say overzealous, but we were this needs to look good. We're going to put a lot of effort into it. So we put thank you. I appreciate that. But yeah, we put a lot of time and energy into it, so yeah.
Can you talk a little bit more about your process for applying to the program and then what happened since?
Yeah, absolutely. So the day of the Lunch and Learn that I met you guys, I met you at, I went home and immediately was clicking the refresh button, when are the applications going to open? So I think applications opened in April, I believe. So I did it as soon as I could. I actually built a personal portfolio website just to apply. So got that in, and then I can't remember how long it took to hear back from, I think, Alex. Maybe a few weeks, somewhere in there. And then from there was a technical interview, which sounds really scary, but was not. It was more, of an overview of do you understand these basic technical concepts? Would you be able to operate in this environment successfully? And I think there was another interview as well, right? Yeah. Oh, yeah, we did. Yeah. Sorry, I'm not forgetting you. I feel like my whole experience is kind of blending together because I have sat on Zoom with you guys for so much. I really miss y'all, too, by the way. It's like a hole in my schedule. So there was the, like, personal interview and then the technical interview. And then I remember receiving word that I had gotten into the program. I think it was a few weeks before, right?
Yeah, probably around
like May. Yeah.
for a July start.
Right. Yes. Yeah. And so from there were orientations and a lot of information, and they were super helpful along the way too with like, here's what this will look like for you. Because I'm like an over anxious planner too, and I need to have stuff on my calendar, so it was really nice. Yeah. Did I answer all parts of your question?
Oh, but what happened after graduation, or
Right.
what employer were you assigned to, and then what did that process look like from you interning or apprenticing to getting your full-time
Yeah.
offer?
Absolutely. So I am a developer with Booz Allen Hamilton now, which is surreal to say. Towards the end of the apprenticeship, I believe it was about November, what would you call Charles? The liaison, I guess. It's like a job leader.
Yeah.
Who is, the bridge between Develop Carolina and Booz Allen. He reached out to those of us individually who would have the opportunity to be placed with Booz Allen. Throughout the apprenticeship program, they're kind of evaluating you and your skills and your ability to be on a team. And by they, I mean your mentor who's with your employer host. So I had somebody who was a senior software engineer at Booz Allen, and we would meet weekly. And so over time, they're kind of evaluating, like, okay, are you appropriate for this role? Do you have the skills necessary? So instead of having to face like a huge technical interview, as you would if you're applying, just cold applying on LinkedIn or whatever, you've kind of had your technical interview over a series of months. So anyways, Charles reached out about end of November and said, hey, like, you have a role if you want it. And negotiations went from there as far as salary and things like that. So yeah, it was all in all, it was a really easy process. Not easy, like, skill wise, but easy as in like everybody was super helpful and informative. And yeah. I am. Yeah. It's weird. Yeah, it's weird wearing real pants because I'm like so used to I got dressed and I was like, oh my gosh, I forgot what it's like to wear real clothes because I'm just like sitting at home in my pajamas most of the time now. So yeah.
Yes.
What kind of background did you have in technology, computer science? Before?
None. So I am really fortunate that I have a great resource at home. My husband is a software engineer and has been for many years. And I kind of related to, the gaps that Katie showed in the graphic. I never really, bless you. I never really had the opportunity to learn a whole lot about tech growing up. It was not something that I don't want to say pushed towards, but the opportunities were not there so much for me as a, young female in Alabama to learn those types of things. And so going through like college and then graduate school in healthcare and like caring professions, it was just kind of off my radar. And then when the pandemic hit and I was looking for a change, my husband was like, you know what, like, you might actually enjoy programming. You should look into this. And then as I learned more and really poured myself into like the day-to-day of learning how to code and what it's like to build something and to have that level of competence where you can just kind of dive in and build something out of nothing, I really, really began to love it. So, yeah. And I will say too, though, not having that background has like affected me a lot in like my own sense of worth coming in and imposter syndrome. So Develop Carolina has helped to fill that gap as well. Just with educating us about how to handle those feelings of imposter syndrome and, making me feel like I still belong even though I don't have that background. I'm developing those experiences still. Yeah.
You choose sort of like the environment you go into, or does the program place you into like, I don't know, JavaScript?
Right.
C#.
Yeah, so that's a great question. It can be kind of half and half. So for the umbrella project that we demoed up there, I got to choose my tech stack for that. So I stuck with JavaScript and a Node backend, which is also JavaScript, because that's what I know. Whereas once I was placed with my employer host, they can do anything. So I was working primarily in Python with my employer host. And now that I'm fully employed, I'm going to be using Java with the Spring Boot, and I think an Angular front end, two things that I don't have any experience in. But there's a lot of room to learn and a lot of room to grow. So, yeah.
So does Develop Carolina work only with programmers or just everybody in tech?
So we are working with programmers specifically for now. Yeah, we actually, our kind of like long-term goal is to expand to like some other positions within tech. But we have the background of our team is very heavy in like helping junior level coders and programmers get to that next step or get the skills to be a programmer. So that was kind of our comfort zone, and we know that that's an area that really does not require a formal degree. Like, it's very merit-based. So you can come in having been self-taught or having, limited experience, but if you can show off what you can do, you have a place. So that's where we are right now, but we are interested in expanding it. Did you have like a specific role that you were curious about within tech, or just general?
Cybersecurity.
Yeah, that's a big one. And there are some cybersecurity apprenticeships that do exist in South Carolina. They are the 2-year, longer-term apprenticeships. But that's definitely something we've been talking about and something that we know is a huge need here. So, good question. Yes, ma'am.
Would you say that the front end or the back end certification is more valuable in South Carolina?
They are both very valuable. That's a really good question. So it really is more so about personal preference, because the fact of the matter is, and as Kristen alluded to as well, kind of knowing any programming language gets you in the door. And so you can, once you kind of have that base level skill set, switching to another language is fairly easy, because you kind of just learn the differences in like the syntax between languages, but concepts. Yeah, like you know the logic behind it. And so as far as getting that first job, it's really like, do you like making things, like interacting with the website, making things, not necessarily designing things, but just making them work really well and how a user can go and do what they want to do on the site? Mm-hmm. Or do you really like the data manipulation and handling some of the data heavy processes within a website or a web application? Those are kind of the main differences. So, but either way you go, you can. There is need for those skills.
Okay.
Yeah,
Definitely. Although I would also add to be prepared to pivot. So I prefer front end. I really enjoy working with React and JavaScript in general, and don't have a lot of background in anything else. But once getting into Booz Allen and really any job, they'll kind of tell you, here's what we expect, here's the tech stack, and I think it's very rarely just going to be just JavaScript, or React. So kind of being like a jack of all trades or a polyglot,
yes,
as we talked about, and being able to kind of get in and work with anything and learn anything is a super important skill in development. Yeah.
And something that employers expect as well. So they don't expect you to come in and know all of the things all at once. From talking to employers over the last almost decade, I'm not going to age myself, but for a while, they have always told us that we can teach someone technical skills. If they have a base understanding, we can upskill them, we can teach them those things. And so really what they're concerned about are the professional skills and being able to work on a team and communicate well. And so if you can do that and you have technical skills, you can find a place in tech for sure.
Yep.
So on the SC codes that I see Java, I see JavaScript and Ruby.
Ruby. Mm-hmm.
So Java and JavaScript, different, similar?
Yeah, they're very different. So did you want to chat about that since you're working in both?
Sure, yeah. I mean, they're two totally different languages. JavaScript is it is used on the front end because that's what your browser can digest. And at least at an enterprise level, most places are using at least from what I've seen, which is limited because I am still new, but Java, Ruby, more traditionally like back-end kind of languages. If you're looking for a place to start, I started with JavaScript and found that to be a good path, just because you can like operate front and back end pretty easily with that using Node, which is just a JavaScript backend basically. Yeah.
But yeah, that's a common question too, because the naming
I know
conventions
who did that
are so similar. So I think if I'm remembering correctly, Java was first, and then someone was like, "Well, I'm going to do something on the front end, and I'm just going to kind of have still that name."
Right.
So it's very confusing.
They don't overlap at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great question. Awesome. Oh, yes, ma'am.
Are there many part-time jobs in coding?
Not a ton of part-time, but there are lots of contract availability, the contract position. So if you wanted to do more of the freelance route, there are lots of short-term, long-term contracts, or you can kind of do your own thing and you kind of do a consulting, start your own business and do things that way. There's a lot of flexibility within it. But I have not seen many kind of dedicated part-time employees within tech organizations.
Okay.
Yeah. But you can more or less, like once you kind of build up that portfolio, and if you build up some clientele, like through whatever piece you like to do or enjoy doing, if you want to go build websites for people, or if you whatever it may be, then you could probably fairly easily find freelance opportunities.
Okay.
There are a lot of them out there.
Speaking of portfolios, so do you guys have like a dedicated space where you house all your projects, or are you saying portfolio, you're just pulling up a website?
Yeah. So portfolio can be whatever. It's different from every individual. So yeah, what is yours hosted on?
I just have a website, KristenCoy.com. Don't look at it. I haven't updated it. Actually, cut that from the stream. But yeah, I built it myself and then deployed it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's got some of my personal projects on there and my GitHub and stuff like that.
But GitHub is also kind of the main place that you want to have your code live. So it's a repository for anything that you're building or anything that you're doing. GitHub. GitHub. And they also have like a GitHub Pages option, so you can build a portfolio site there.
Okay.
But you can also, a lot of people just use like WordPress sites or Squarespace to host and like build and use a template, but then you're plugging in your projects so that people can go and then link to your code. But it's kind of like this pretty like extra version of your resume. But it's a place where you can say, here's my portfolio. It's going to have about you. It's going to have projects, samples of your code, and typically have a link to your resume. So it's like a one-stop shop for an employer.
Do you guys have example portfolios somewhere?
We do. So on SC Codes.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so SC Codes, let me see. It's hard to navigate with the second screen, but let me find my mouse. Okay, here we go. Hang on. Okay, here we go. So with SC Codes, I'll show you all that website real quick as well. This is what it looks like to kind of get started. We have a couple of different learning tracks. So this is really helpful if you're like really not sure and you want to come down here and like, are you brand new and you don't even know what you want to do, and that's okay. Come to our Explore page and we'll kind of walk you through what you should be doing. Career changer, so you're like, I'm going to do this. This is going to be my new career. Let me get started. Upskiller, so if you already have some skills, want to add to that. And then job seeker, and so I specifically will touch on the job seeker and our course associated with that. You can also go, so we've got the breakdown for each learning track here, along with outcomes and where you should get started. Links to our Develop Carolina program if you're ready to go. Lots of resources and helpful things, as well as joining us on Slack, all of our social media. But if you also just kind of want to go and explore what courses we have, you can come up here to our courses. And then you can see Mine may look a little different because I'm signed in as an admin, so there's going to be some extra stuff like moderator guide and teacher guide, so ignore all of those. But we have 11 courses total here that are open to anyone, and career support is one of them. So here's what the course looks like. So if I dive into the course itself here, let me, oh good, I'm in teach mode. So this is what it will essentially look like, a little bit different because I'm signed in as an admin, but we'll walk you through how to create a great resume, how to write a good cover letter if anyone still wants to do that. Very hit or miss. I'm very divided on cover letters. A lot of people see them as a waste of time, but I was telling someone that I am hiring for a apprenticeship coordinator position, and someone's resume was not super impressive, but I read their cover letter and I gave them an interview because of it. So, you know,
Impact.
yeah, exactly. If you can write well, go for it. But creating a standout portfolio, so if you hop in here, we have a whole module of portfolio examples. So a good handful here. You can also just, like, if you were to Google portfolio examples, there are lots of them, but we'll walk you through how to build it, a bunch of resources for building your portfolio. So this is that GitHub pages that I mentioned, Bootstrap Foundation. If you're like, I don't know how to make it look pretty, tell me someone. We've got stuff for color palettes, free fonts. So this, and again, totally open and free. You can hop into this at any point in time. Our goal is to just make it as easy as possible for you to get access to all of that. We have LinkedIn tutorials, how to make sure you have an effective LinkedIn, job searching, and we call it decoding because tech job postings can be very wild sometimes, and it's like junior level with 8 years experience. Well, that doesn't exist. So
20 years experience in a technology that's been around for 3 years.
Yes.
Seen them a lot.
Yes. And so this kind of helps you dig through all of that junk to get to the core of what that job posting is. And then preparing for an interview. So we do a lot, and we can also provide you, if you get to this point, with that mentor to help you. We can set up some mock interviews. We can do some things. We're a small team, but we are all so passionate about helping folks get into the industry that if we have the bandwidth to support mock interviews or whatever it may be in that one-on-one help, we want to give that to you. Great questions. Any other questions?
Any online, Tony?
Not that I'm seeing.
All right, cool. All righty. Well, I will absolutely stick around for the next little bit. I would encourage you to hop on to sccodes.org and explore a little bit. And if you have any questions or want to talk to me one-on-one, I will be here. So thank you all so much for joining today. And thank you, Kristen.
A few announcements for everyone in the room. I probably have talked your ears off about